Hello, welcome to RT Magazine, a show about Middletown High School, its students, and the community. News about you and for you. I'm Gabby Pieklo. In this week's show, Mallory Beck tells us about the likelihoods of a regular school day going into next semester. I clue us in on an upcoming production. Caidyn Ratliff recommends a Netflix original show that is sure to bring a smile to your face, and we learn not to take for granted the tiniest things that make life manageable. This week's show is brought to you by
Middletown Sportsland Incorporated, the place to find all your sports needs. Located on 108 West Main Street in downtown Middletown.
Going back to school started to become a reality with the start of small group learning throughout the semester. But with COVID rates only going up, in-person meetings are still suspended. Let's go to Mallory Beck with more information about these adjustments and the plans for next semester.
In a Find Out First sent out on January 3rd, small group sessions for the rest of the semester have most likely been canceled, along with moving winter sports further into the year. I had the chance to interview a few students and a staff member about these circumstances.
How did you react to the announcement regarding the suspension of small groups?
When I found out about it, it was a little bit sad because I've really been looking forward to all the times we got to go in person for journalism. However, I knew it was coming, so it wasn't a big shock to me.
Do you feel that this was the best decision given our current situation, or should we try to conduct small groups? Why or why not?
Me personally, I would like to still have small group, but just with like guidelines and restrictions like through the county, I don't really think they had a choice to stay open and they had to shut down.
What do you think are the chances of small group opportunities happening later in the semester, and would you attend?
I think that as much as I want to go back for the next semester, I don't think it's probably going to happen. However, if the opportunity did arise for us to go back in person or for small groups, I would definitely go.
There might be an opportunity if like cases get under control again like they were in the county, and if they happen again, then I will definitely be attending.
How did you react to the announcement regarding the suspension of winter sports practices?
When I first heard the news, it was devastating because we've been waiting a year to get back into not only swimming, but winter sports as a whole.
Do you feel that this was the best decision given our current situation, or should we try to conduct practices? Why or why not?
I think it was a good decision because, it's like if the COVID cases are going up, it's not that safe. But I think eventually if it leads on, I think we should try and conduct practices.
What are things you will do to continue training for your sport?
Well, I'm a club swimmer, so I'm swimming all year round. I know we plan on doing virtual dry lands, which is like cross training. So you can do that at home to stay in shape.
And lastly, what do you think are the chances of practices happening later in the semester, and would you participate?
I would participate, and I think if the cases go down, then I think it's pretty likely, but I just hope that they do because it is kind of annoying doing everything by yourself.
What is MHS doing to continue to engage winter sports participants during the suspension?
So one of the things that we've offered, and one of the things that we've encouraged them to do is to use our Google Meets and try to provide them with opportunities in the Google Meets to one, just to see people's faces again, get back into that a little bit. Use this as a leadership process, do some team building leadership opportunities online if they possibly can, and then provide them skills and drills that they can do on their own. Even though we can't be here, then it doesn't mean that people can't be using the facilities. Kids, our student athletes can't be going to the various places to get workouts. Our runners could be out running. Our wrestlers could be doing some individual wrestling drills, could be lifting, they could be running, stay in shape. You got basketball players with basketball hoops all around here, all around Middletown. So just encouraging to kind of keep doing that with the idea that we are going to get back. It's just prolonged a little bit, but we will get back to where we were.
And lastly, what do you think are the chances of practices happening later in the semester?
Yeah, I think our student athletes here at Middletown, at least here at Middletown, we've done a great job. Our student athletes have really worked hard. They've done what they needed to do at practice to make sure that they're following all the safeguards, and I applaud them for that. I applaud our coaches for following through with that. And then that's the biggest thing is showing that we can do it, and we did. So it's just a matter of trying to get to a point where FCPS and the Return Play Committee and the health department feel it's safe for our student athletes to not only be here, but then to be home with their families and be around their friends in the community without making the numbers worse.
In Monday's show, I gave us a quick preview on the MHS Drama Department's virtual production of Clue. Now let's dive deeper into the cast and plot, as well as go behind the scenes on how it was put together. The MHS Drama Department produced a virtual performance of the show Clue. Some of the actors give us insight on what Clue is.
Clue is a comedic mystery. It's very fun. It's very fast-paced. A group of people who get invited to a dinner party, and once they get there, they realize that the host of the meal is not quite honest up front about what's going on.
They're all trapped in a house.
Eventually, it all gets revealed in that they're all connected to each other in some sort of way.
Due to COVID-19 restrictions, the play couldn't be performed on stage as it traditionally is.
With the restrictions of the pandemic and COVID-19 right now, we had to be mindful about sending home costumes. So, we had to make sure that the costumes sat for 2 days, and when they got returned, they had to sit for 2 days, and the same with props and stuff. In a normal play, we would only need one candlestick because everybody would be on stage and things would be happening, and the one candlestick was all we needed. But for filming, if there was going to be a scene where Mrs. White hit Mrs. Peacock with a candlestick, we needed to make sure that Mrs. White had a candlestick and Mrs. Peacock had a candlestick, because they were going to have to mimic those things simultaneously in 2 different locations, plus getting things like making sure they all had a white backdrop in the background so that there was a consistency in how it looked.
Well, obviously there's no big set. Some of the physical bits of discovering a secret passageway, or some of the physical bits of somebody supposed to slap someone, those have to change somewhat.
So we're obviously doing the show through a Google Meet, so it's online, and it was challenging a little bit.
But we would have a solid white background with a light in front of us, and we would just film like we were on a Zoom or Google Meet. So it would be from chest up.
Director Susan Thornton had an idea of how to do the show a little differently.
So it was really important to Susan to try to direct something this fall. So it was her idea. She had an idea for how to do Clue in a way that would work virtually. And when she said she was willing to do it, my response was just tell me what you need me to give you so that we can make it happen.
We had already gotten the rights to do the on-stage production, and I had, planned what the set would look like and so forth. And then when all of the COVID hit and we realized we would probably have to go with a virtual online production, I said, luckily, Clue kind of lends itself to the fact that it is a board game. So I said, the nice thing is, you see the person's face that's doing the lines, but in the background, we could have a clue board. So when they went from the lounge to the kitchen, you would see them moving around the board.
Let's meet the editor, Kevin Swan.
Yeah, he is incredible. My first year teaching here was his junior year. So he was our Cornelius in Hello Dolly, which is the main comic relief character. And then his senior year, we did Footloose, and he was our Ren in Footloose, which is the main character. And Kevin was a triple threat. He could sing, he could dance, he could act. He's a very gifted performer. And he's gone on to, he went to Ithaca College, and I believe his degree is in something like video production.
For the Clue production, I was the editor, and so all the students and director Susan met and rehearsed and recorded all their video.
Here's how the magic worked behind the scenes.
The students would all meet on a Zoom call and record their scenes together. but send me all their individual clips. So they were acting with each other in real time, but they were all separate kind of video files. And then they would send them to me, and following along with the script, I just slowly started piecing everything together. I used Adobe Premiere, and so I pieced everything together and just did an initial kind of pass through of putting their lines in order, and then went back again and added, there's kind of some cool animation graphic things with the game board behind them, and adding sound effects, and kind of overall it was like 4 passes through of adding more and more detail.
The actors missed onstage theater, but that didn't stop them from finding the silver lining.
It was so heartwarming to see how invested they still were in putting on show, because it was the same energy that you would see if you went into the chorus room at the high school for a rehearsal or blocking a scene on stage. They were all in their Zoom boxes, but they were still asking questions. Why is their character saying this? What do I do with this prop? And so it was kind of reassuring to see that high school theater was living on, and it was finding a way to adapt.
I was definitely disappointed that we weren't able to do it in person, because that's part of the magic, because you can play off of each other, you can feed off the energy of the audience. But I mean, it's great to get any kind of theater that we can in the times that we have in a safe way, safe for both the audience and the actors and everyone involved in it.
I definitely miss sort of the connection that you can have on stage in real time together in person. But I also think it really shows the persistence of the arts throughout this pandemic.
It wasn't bad. It was different. So I feel like it was a good experience to have, but I would prefer doing it on stage next time.
The cast includes Wadsworth, played by Keller Knight, Yvette, played by Miranda Troutman, Miss Scarlett, played by Maria Coleus, Mrs. Peacock, played by Rebecca Carroll, Mrs. White, played by Kate Gaynor, Colonel Mustard, played by P.J. Leonard, Professor Plum, played by Nick Coleman, Mr. Green, played by Dylan Spears, the cook, played by Kara Allen, singing telegram girl, played by Shaylee Chubin, motorist, played by Carson Rosinski, Mr. Body, played by Scott Milner, chief of police, played by Ethan Rothermel, car cop, played by Nate Powell, and the FBI agents, played by Jonathan Dodson, Mallory Beck, and Phoebe Parker.
Every major role on that screen, all of the color characters, the game piece characters, Yvette the butler, they all had understudies that had to be ready to go at a moment's notice. Thankfully, we didn't have to put in any of the understudies, but they're definitely the unsung heroes of the production for being willing to take on that job.
The understudies include Nick Coleman, Phoebe Parker, Samantha Freeman, Kelly Fernan, Maisie Bell Rosenfeld, Jonathan Dodson, Carson Rosinski, Nate Powell, Sierra Morgan, Mallory Beck, and Ethan Rothermel. Although they didn't have in-person performances, they did have scheduled showtimes.
The company that you buy the rights to perform Clue from, they have a platform, a streaming platform, where we uploaded our video, and then we had to restrict our viewing to our performance dates. So originally, we were going to go the weekend before Christmas, but for several reasons, we needed more time, so we pushed back to the 25th, 26th, and 27th. And so even though it was a pre-recorded version, the live stream access to that was only for the 25th, 26th, and 27th, and people had to, it was similar to viewing something on like YouTube video or Amazon Prime, something that's not free, where you have to pay for it, and then you have a certain number of hours to stream it, and you watch it that way.
Fantasy, comedy, and adventure, trolls, giants, and elves. All this and more from the Netflix original British graphic novel series, Hilda.
If you like mythical creatures such as trolls, giants, and elves, or if you need something to watch with a younger sibling, then Hilda might be the show for you. The show was originally a comic created by Luke Pearson, but later in 2018 it was turned into a Netflix series. The main character Hilda originally lived out in the countryside until two giants stepped on their house, which forcefully made her and her mom move to Trollberg, where she became friends with Elfer, Frida, and David, and some other type of dangerous creatures. Hilda and her friends, as well as Twig, go on adventures where they save the day in many different ways, whether it's saving a troll's baby, or stopping a mass famine or drought in Trollberg. This show is only on Netflix in about 24 minutes each, so I recommend snuggling up in a blanket with some hot chocolate and let it run on autoplay.
Baking a cake isn't an easy feat, let alone adding an extra unusual challenge to spice things up, but Rihanna and Caidyn are up for the challenge. Get ready to clap your hands, or should I say tiny hands, for this baking video.
Hi, I'm Caidyn. Hi, I'm Rihanna. Today we will be making a vanilla cake from scratch, but with a little twist. We'll be using a familiar challenge to some. That challenge is tiny hands.
Good, at least it's not an egg.
See, mine's that. Back off. My hand.
Actually, I probably had till past that.
Oh, we actually got it this time with my hand. Okay. I think we got it in there.
Yeah, you did.
We did. I can smell it, but no. Yeah, instead of this spoon. Oh, shoot. Lost the hand. I mean, hold on. Shoot! My hand! Hold on. Do you need a cup?
Big bowl. Where's bowls? Where do you put your bowls? Where do you put your bowls? In here?
Yeah, in there. Shoot.
Bowl!
Explain your thought process.
Pour it in!
Oops, just a little tiny spill and bam! We did it!
Oh, we need one more. Oh my god, Rihanna. Egg whites? Yeah. It popped, Rihanna. Get the hands out, get the hands out.
Put it in, don't stand there. Okay.
It's like, oh, Rihanna, it wasn't going.
Well, that one
was.
Hey, pants. Oh my gosh, we are almost there.
Does that look right? Does that look cakey?
I don't know what cake looks
That
like.
looks more like
Pancakes? Okay.
I don't know how to use your oven. I'm trying to use your oven.
Shouldn't you?
I'm sure I can see it. It's beautiful.
We did it. It was probably one of the hardest things that we've had to do. And we made a huge mess.
Just my fans.
With the flour that she spilled. So, you know, it was an awesome video to make, and the Tiny Hands definitely made it an adventure.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15, 1929. The son and grandson of Baptist ministers, he attended college becoming a minister upon graduation. Dr. King earned his doctorate degree from Boston University in 1954. From 1954 to 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most influential advocates for civil rights. Dr. King promoted change through peaceful methods by organizing boycotts and other forms of protest. He traveled more than 6 million miles and spoke more than 2,500 times to audiences in support of civil rights. During his fight for civil rights, Dr. King was arrested upwards of 20 times. His house was bombed, his life was threatened, yet he persevered. In 1963, Time magazine recognized Dr. King as its Man of the Year. In 1964, at the age of 35, Dr. King was the youngest man to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Upon being notified of this award, Dr. King chose to donate the $54,123 to continue the fight for civil rights. His Letter from a Birmingham Jail and I Have a Dream speech bear witness to the struggle for freedom and equality. In 1968, Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. The first proposal to honor Dr. King's birthday was presented 4 days after his assassination. However, it took until 1983 before the date was recognized as a federal holiday, and 32 years after his assassination for all 50 states to make the day a state holiday. The Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on January 20th, 2020 marks the 25th anniversary of the passage of the 1994 King Holiday and Service Act that created a National Day of Service that celebrates the civil rights leader's life and legacy. Observed each year on the third Monday in January as a day on, not a day off, MLK Day is the only federal holiday designated as a National Day of Service to encourage all Americans to volunteer to improve their communities. That's it for this episode of RT Magazine, part of the Roundtable's multimedia experience. Thanks for watching. You can find all our episodes on mhsroundtable.com, or you can download our app, Student News Source, for access to our articles, videos, and podcasts. Have a great week.